Hey guys, this is going to be Bariatric Support Online. We're going to teach you guys how to do what are we cooking today?
A stuffed pepper with taco meat, so it's like a stuffed taco pepper.
Yeah, so it's kind of abbreviation on like stuffed pepper, but it's kind of since most of us are bariatric patients, so we got this little teeny pepper, more bite size, kind of gets that macronutrient profile dialed in one little bite. So Jen's gonna kind of go ahead and take the lead, and we'll go from there.
So we're using ground beef organic, and so I'm going to get that going in the pan first.
Okay. So one thing is we are switching. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about why we're using organic beef over regular beef. So like when you have a true organic meat, the government has basically set parameters as to what people need to do to make good quality meat and stuff like that. So this just all organic really means it's just a standard of where we're at as far as a health standard. So there are guidelines that the butcher has to go by. There are guidelines that the grower has to go by to make sure you get the best quality stuff. One thing that we will go off on is we want to get a good source of grass-fed beef, not just organic, but grass-fed, and that's what we actually had right there. Because when the cow is actually fed by grass and not hay or grain, the animal will actually be a better quality animal. So you just think about just like us, we are what we eat.
So I really like to add onions and peppers into the meat, not just the taco seasoning. So I'm just going to dice it up, and you can watch my masterful knife skills, and it will just keep cooking as it goes.
I'm gonna stay off camera for just a second.
So if you only cut almost all the way to the root end, and then inside, and when you cut this way, it's already diced. It's like a trick. You should use tricks. So if you can like zoom in from the top, you could see me just not going all the way to the end. And then see how these like are already in all the little pieces for you. You don't have to do that like chop, 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 chop thing unless you really want to. So here are all the little pieces that I'm going to put in with this. What's also really good about this recipe is you can just make all of the whole bag of peppers, and then you put them in the freezer, and you can just take out 2 that you want to eat for lunch every day, and then it's meal prep that's frozen. It's not taking up all your fridge space, so, which is important to me. Apparently I have a little fridge, but so you just let this cook for, 10, 15 minutes till it's all golden brown, like you would for your regular taco meat. Don't pour off the fat. You need it. It's very important for the flavor and to work on getting in your healthy fat. Okay, so while this is cooking, I will start getting the peppers ready. You just are going to cut the top off and kind of hollow out all of the white part and the seeds. These don't have too many seeds. These are the sweet peppers. They come in like a 5-pound bag like this. You can get them at almost every grocery store. And then they're more portion control because you're just eating one pepper. You don't have to guess. See, like this one already has all of the stuff on the inside out, so we won't have to worry about taking anything out. And I think you guys are all wondering the magic question is if you're allowed to put cheese on these. The answer is always yes. My favorite kind of cheese to put on these when they're finished is the Mexi Blend. It has Colby Jack and cheddar. And then if you want to put cheese on the inside, it just didn't work out as well for me. But this one has a little bit of the seeds in, so you can get them out. But you do not need to cook these peppers before. The 1 or 2 minutes in the microwave when you freeze them makes them perfectly soft. I like them crunchy, so I do eat them right after we cook this. And then it's just hot from the meat being on the inside. But I know people have asked me in the past about having they have to cook the peppers before inserting the meat. You don't need to. These are getting cooked, and when you'll know it's all the onions are done when they're translucent. That just means they've been caramelized and they're getting to the perfect time to be in something. You still get the flavor, you just don't get the harshness. If you want to put more peppers into the mix, you can. I'm going to be putting this can of chilies in because I do like to build a flavor profile, and I've had this many times and I love it, so I would like to play around as we go. But if you wanted to make this Italian, you can put tomatoes in it. If you want it, then you can use or put ricotta and all the, instead of I'm going to be using taco seasoning, you can put in Italian seasoning. If you want to make it like chili, you can use chili sauce, chili powder. You could put black beans in it. Really anything. This is just like a special little holder, and it will taste good with anything. You can totally use turkey. If you guys aren't red meat eaters, you could use tofu. You can use eggplant. Anything that you want to get that meat texture, if you're looking for that. This is almost getting there, so I'm going to add in the chilies now. I just got the diced green chilies. They are very delicious. So I'm just going to put in half the can. That looks like enough. See, when you add in the taco meat, you want to have half of a cup of liquid to make the sauce, and so the juice from the meat is looking good. So I might not even need the water I have here. Just let this cook a little bit longer and finish these up. Do we have any questions out there from the world yet?
So Jen, we have a question out of the Facebook. So when you are picking the peppers, why did you pick the little peppers over just the big bell pepper?
Well, I had weight loss surgery in January. I had sleeves, so I'm not able to eat a whole regular sized bell pepper. And I am learning to not waste food. So this is a much better size, and I can eat the whole thing. And then I'm also getting the proper protein ratio to carb ratio to fat ratio, because I'm not eating too many of one thing if it's all impacted in one meal at one time. Is there any other questions?
Well, I think Logan has one.
Yes, Logan, where are you calling from?
I have a question about why do you use red and orange peppers? What's the difference between those and the green ones?
So red and yellow and orange peppers are sweeter
Turn you
than
off
the
for
green
now.
ones. And the green ones don't come in this miniature version that I've seen so far. But you could use this with full-size peppers and just eat half of it or something, like just open face them like open face sandwich. But I really like cute things, and this is very cute.
So yeah, so are there any other questions that we can dive into, Logan?
Yeah. Why do you keep or start the ground beef with water? A half cup of water.
I brought the water over to add to if I needed it for this taco seasoning. I did not add any extra water to the meat as of yet. It's only if I needed it if the sauce was too thick.
Yeah, so we don't usually drain our meat after we cook it, because since we got the good quality meat, we can actually use a lot of that fat that's in the juices for now. So a lot of times with the taco seasoning, they have you drain out the fat, and that's actually to get the fat content out. But we actually want the fat content in our meat. So that's why they have you add the water. So frankly, we may not have to add much to any water once we're ready for the seasoning. So any other questions at all on it there? Okay, so once we are done cooking the meat, what do we do with it?
Then I'm going to put it into the peppers with a spoon.
Okay, and then once we do it in this spoon, do we have to preheat the oven at all? Do we do anything like that? Or are we going to bake them at all? Or just stuff them in there and let them cool?
Stuff it in and let it cool for food prep. If you want to eat it right now, you can put it in the oven for a little while, or just eat it as it is with the extra crunch from the raw pepper.
Okay.
They're kind of pretty versatile. You could do whatever. You can
Okay.
just go
So when
or
you're
add or not.
So when you're food prepping, you can actually just stuff them and stick them in the freezer maybe afterwards.
Yes, that's
And then
perfect.
when you reheat them later, you like in the microwave, they'll soften up for you.
And I did hear that we have one more question out there.
What's the question, Logan?
Maybe no question. Just kidding. But, so we can put the taco seasoning in. I think
Okay,
it's
so
not
we're ready
bad.
to do taco seasoning. How about you preheat the oven back there so we can actually cook some of these in there to show people how we do that. So do we do the whole taco seasoning package or just half or what's the
All of
plan?
it, because we did use 1 pound of meat.
Okay. So if we were doing just a half, or say, because sometimes with gastric surgery, spices can kind of get to us. So is it you kind of go to taste?
Yes.
Is that a good way to do it?
Go to taste is a very good
Because
way
one
to do it.
thing is, when I had my surgery over a year ago, I had to really phase in a lot of the spices. I couldn't just go for it. Like, I was a real spicy eater before surgery. And what kind of happened was, as time went on, I kind of lost my ability to handle the spice. But as I'm about a year and a half out, 215 pounds down, being pretty solid with that way of doing it. But what's happening is kind of that old tolerance is coming back. My stomach's adjusting, kind of getting back to me. So do we want to break the meat up really small here, or are the big chunks okay?
Yes, as small as you can would be better for
Okay.
this.
Cool. So what should we preheat the oven to?
350.
Okay. So we have a little. Here we don't have a full kitchen, just mainly for minor stuff. So in a big oven, it may take a little longer. We have that little guy, so it's pretty good. So. And here in our studio, we have about 6 people watching. So we're cooking quite a bit of meat. So we're just gonna cook enough in the oven to kind of feed all of us here. So Logan, are there any other questions from the audience out there?
No, not at the time.
Okay.
See how the taco seasoning has sucked up all the liquids and it's getting to be much thicker of a sauce. That's perfect. That's what you're looking for.
Do I go much longer here, or do I do?
No, it shouldn't be too much longer. I think I would add a little bit of the water.
A little bit of water. Okay. Is that too much? Too little?
That seems
Now,
better.
what happens if I added too much water? What can I do?
You can just keep cooking it down. The moisture will come out over time.
Okay, so I just
and
have
it
to-
will strengthen the flavor if you do
Okay.
reduce it.
So if I ever did have too much water, I could just throw on, just leave it on the water more.
Yeah.
It's not going to ruin my meat.
No, you won't ruin it. Don't
Okay.
worry about that.
One thing I like to do is fresh out of surgery, really cooking, like, say we're doing chicken. I had to really boil my chicken to make it really nice and soft. So it was kind of hard that way. So there's that.
So if you did add more water, you would be steaming the meat and it would get softer the more you cook it.
Yeah.
So you can always do that.
Okay. So is this done longer?
No, I would say that looks perfect.
Okay. So what's the next step?
Now we're going to put it into peppers.
Okay. Do I do little spoons, big spoons?
As full as you can.
Okay.
While you're doing that, I have a question.
Okay. What's the question?
What would be, or are there any good substitutes for a pepper if you don't like pepper?
Really, the pepper is just a transporter. So really, just a way to get the meat in you and go from there.
I think you could use zucchini. It's
So
another.
to do zucchini, what I would recommend is just kind of cut it real thin and make almost a wrap, kind of thing, like wrap a zucchini. That would be one way. You could have hollowing it out may not be the best thing to do. So that's my thought on that. Really, the substitution can be whatever you feel like it. So for the live audience at home, if we have any more questions from the group here, Logan, let's go ahead and get them on the microphone, okay? That way people at home are not missing anything. So one thing I was thinking was, what if we needed a little more fat in this meal, or we needed to just add a little more flavor to it? Could we put cheese on top, maybe?
Yes, you were just out of the office the second I was telling them that cheese is completely acceptable and should always be used with this.
So why is cheese so good? Does cheese pack a good protein and a good fat combo?
Yes,
It's very good.
it does, and it's like the most delicious food on the planet.
So
But-
when you were fresh out of post-op for the surgery, did you actually, could you tolerate cheese very well?
Yes, I could.
See, I could
eat cottage cheese at a week and a half or so.
Okay. See, dairy for me was a really big struggle at first, but as time went on, I kind of noticed that things got a lot better with that. So one recommendation I would have is, say if you try a food and it goes over really poorly and it doesn't really, it's not tasting good and all that stuff. One thing you can think about is adding stuff special that way. So like you add something in and it doesn't go well with you. You can always give it a break, give it 3 or 4 weeks, and try it again. So even if you try this, it doesn't go down well, like the ground beef, you can try chicken or you can try something else, but always come back to it, because as your stomach adjusts, you will get there.
And then also to add the fat to this, we have the option of using avocados at the end. And then if it is spicy, the avocado will cut down on that and make it smoother to be able to digest at the time. And then, we are always looking for a way to add the healthy fat in, and avocado is amazing for that. So,
Yeah, because one thing about with getting our macros dialed in, our society has gone from a higher carb, low fat, high protein diet. So a lot of the processed stuff that is out there is not the proper way for us to eat. So we have to find other alternatives to make it happen. So we ready for the oven to put these in? Okay. Should we sprinkle the cheese on top before we do it? Like a good melted cheese on top?
I have Italian cheese.
Italian cheese works for me.
So yes, go ahead and place those in there.
Just a little bit of cheese. So you can use cheddar cheese or Italian cheese or anything you want.
This is mozzarella, smoked provolone, Parmesan, Fontina, and Asiago.
Okay. Like a good Mexican mix would be fine too. It's whatever you guys feel like it. It's just what we have right now. So a light sprinkle on top would be great.
Don't forget any. People will be mad if they don't get their cheese.
There you go. So how long do we actually stick it in the oven for? Just to boil it?
Just broil it since everything's already hot. There's no reason to have to cook it any extra.
Great. Cool.
So we'll brown the cheese and then we'll be all set.
We have probably about 5 minutes for that. My one question is, do we have any other questions, Logan? Looks
No.
like there's one behind you.
Jen's a little loud.
Okay, so, okay, any other questions?
What if you,
Let's go ahead and give her the microphone, Logan, because there are people at home.
what other kinds of meats could you use that would be a good suitable substitute? If you already talked about that, I'm sorry, but, yeah, like.
So you could use like a firm, like tofu or chicken, ground turkey, ground pork. If you're not doing red meat.
So if you were to do the tofu,
portobellos or-
extra firm tofu would be great. I would drain it, so open it early. Stick it on like a cheese mat or something to kind of get so the water will drain out. Put something heavy on top of the block to kind of smush all that water out. Then chop it up in a nicely found, really almost ground beef, and you cook it the exact same way. But the key to tofu is get all that water out, and that's a good way to make this whole meal a vegan option if you minus the cheese. Add the cheese in, obviously you're making it vegetarian. But any other questions like that?
Thank you. No, thanks.
Okay. So as far as bariatric surgery goes, this is a great meal for that. As far as anybody else, this is a great meal for kids. We are designing all of our meals off of 5 different macronutrient profiles. So when you come to our website, there'll be macro profile A, B, C, D, and E. For that, so and they'll be listed. So if you are a macro profile of 30% protein, 50% fat, 20% carbs, that'll be number A, and we'll lay them all out for you guys. So literally, you can come to our website, type in Group A, and then the style of food you want, meaning chicken, fish, whatever you want there, and then it'll give you all the recipes you want for your profile. So how are we doing on that cheese?
Just in a couple more seconds.
Okay, we're almost there. So that's how that goes. So how you guys can find us is bariatricsupportonline.com. You guys can find a lot of motivational videos, tons of cooking. We're going to get fitness videos on there. We're a full functioning gym at home, to get you guys going. We're also going to have courses for pre-op and post-op that is designed by patients. That's the one key that we are doing. This is all a patient-driven place. So we've all been there. The people who are developing this. We actually have a dietitian on staff who is okaying all of our recipes and stuff like that. We have a full PT staff on site here. So if you live in the Vancouver area, could go ahead and check us out. 223 South Reserve Street, Unit 104D. So let's go ahead and switch to that top camera for a second. And I will lift this up there and show you guys what it looks like. There you go. These look delicious. I would eat one on camera, but I hate when people do that because I don't want to watch you eat. So guys, go ahead. Great. Bariatricsupportonline.com.
I'm Jen, and
I'm
this is Sean.
There you guys
We'll
go.
see you soon.